Greetings. Welcome to this week's Sunday warm-up. We are continuing through this series in the teachings of Jesus, the words of Christ, looking at these words of Christ from the Gospel of Luke as the challenge to us as followers of Christ, as disciples of Christ. So we want to listen each week to these words to be challenged in our walk as a follower of Christ, as a disciple of Christ. This week, we are going to focus in on Luke 16, 1-13. I'll give you a few more details about that here in just a second. In addition to that, for reading this week, I would look at Luke 16 to 18. So each week, as we go through this series, we're looking at larger sections of Luke, so that over the coming month and a half, almost 2 months that we're in this series in Luke, we'll cover pretty much all of the book of Luke. Now on Sunday mornings, we only have time for just particular parts of those chapters from that week. So this week, take a look at Luke 16 to 18. Again, the focus is Luke 16, 1-13, but read Luke 16 through 18. I'd encourage us not to read ahead because we're going to get to those passages, but linger long, read slowly through Luke 16 to 18. If you want more and want to go deeper, certainly go deeper into the section that we're reading, go deeper into this particular parable that we're looking at. But also, I would encourage you to go back and reread what we've already done so far, where we started in Luke 9. So really, Luke 9 to 18 is what we've covered so far. Feel free to go back through any of that this week. Reread your notes, your highlights. Go back and linger long again in the sections that we've already studied. What were particular challenges? What were particular highlights? What were particular things that you found to be noteworthy, found to be difficult? Reread those, study those, pray over those. And again, for this week, Luke 16 to 18 is before us, but in particular Luke 16 verses 1-13, and that is the parable of the dishonest manager. That's what we will be looking at this Sunday morning for the sermon time. So it is the parable of the dishonest manager, Luke 16, 1-13, as I've already said. I'll be honest, the main reason that in this section, why we're looking at this particular parable, this particular teaching of Jesus, is because in the last 25 years of being here in ministry, I've never taught on this passage. I've never preached on this passage. I keep a list of all the things I've taught and preached on, and so I've never touched this passage for any kind of teaching or preaching. And I thought, well, we're here in this section of Luke. What part do we want to lean into and spend time on a Sunday morning? Let's go to the one that I guess in some ways I've avoided. It's a difficult passage. It's a difficult teaching. It's there's aspects when you read it just once through, it's confusing. The hero, if you will, of the story is a dishonest manager. And so I want to spend some time looking at this particular parable this week. Here's a few things I'd share with you just as you're studying. Number one, take a look at, consider this question. What are the positive lessons from this sinful behavior of this dishonest manager? What are the positive lessons that we see from this? I believe most translations will capture where he's praised for his shrewdness. So what does shrewd mean? Take a look at that, spend some time, and come with a working definition of what does shrewd mean. And then here's the outline that I'm seeing, or here's the lessons that were the teachings that I think I want us to consider for this Sunday as we look at the passage. I think there's 4 particular points. Number one, there's a warning here for us. Then there's 2 lessons. So there's a warning, there's 2 lessons, and then fourthly, I think there's a challenge here for us as we come out of the parable, the last few words of the verses before us this week. So take a look at those, see if you can find what's the warning, what are the 2 lessons, what's the challenge. You may come up with different ones than I will present on Sunday morning. You may see some additional things or less than that, but take a look at those. Finding those 4 things, the warning, the lessons, the challenge that's before us. Do some background reading, take a look at some commentary about this particular parable, all in preparation for our time on Sunday morning. That's it. There you have it. That's what we'll be doing this week as we continue through the Gospel of Luke, listening, praying that we're listening to the words of Christ for us as followers of Christ and disciples of Christ, all as we continue to, week by week, lead ourselves up to another Easter season together. God bless you guys this week. Prayers for you as we study. Looking forward to this Sunday morning with you.